up with some bad news to my panelists. All the questions we had rehearsed, I lost that paper. So now we'll have to actually get new questions. Please just don't be worried. They won't be so hard. Yeah, so we will have asked ChatGPT. But I have some good questions we can actually deliberate today. But anyway, it's a joke. So I'll just request that we maybe start off. The topic is very interesting, the big secret. And I remember when I'm doing my solo presentations about data, people say, if you actually want to make sure your digital strategy succeeds, you have to place data at the center of your digital transformation strategy. Now, recently, people are also saying the same about CX, customer experience, that if you want the best customer feedback and experience, then you have to place data at the center of your customer experience strategy. So maybe we can start off by maybe just giving a brief about how you're actually creating the synergy between data and customer experience at your place of work. Starting with you, Becky.
Thank you, Hatnel. It's a very interesting question you raise, and I know if I lie, you're going to hold me accountable because the last 1 year we've done a lot of work together. When we are looking at just bridging the gap between strategy, but also bringing the customer into it, one of the things that we like to say is customer obsession. For every product that you create, for every experience you want to create, you have to think of the customer. So you have to consider how is the customer going to react to the product, to the innovation that you bring to market. That way you're not developing because you think the market needs that product, but you have to be really answering a question that customers are asking or a problem that people out there have. That way then this is actually aligning with them. So I think that's one way that you can bring that synergy together so that you are addressing a need that people have by curating an experience that will actually make it better when they interact with the products that you're giving them.
Yeah. So very interesting insights there. And I know the work you do at Pathways, it's all about finding out how you can analyze data to understand your customer better. Maybe just proceeding to the next panelist, maybe bring it home with regards to the specific types of data. What are you using within your organization to just surface the types of experiences you want to see?
Thank you, Hatnel. For us, data is everything. And, when data at static form means nothing, but when you put analytics to it, then you can make decisions that will inform or enhance the customer experience. At my organization, if I can just give an example of contact center, you're looking at the kind of traffics that you are receiving, the core arrival patterns, by day, by hour, by week, by month, when customers call most so that you can provide enough resources to support those customers. A little bit going further, you can enhance that analytic to the reasons why customers are calling. And that is why that is important is because you can drill down to, is it a system issue? Is it a people issue? Is it a product issue? And then from there, you can get the insights that help you to enhance your product and experience. Great.
No, interesting. And I know KCB Group as well, being a financial institution, one of the biggest ones, making sure you're having sticky customers is one of the key aspects. Now, moving forward to Go My Code, tell us more about how you're creating this strategy, because if you're going to really understand your customer behavior and promote the right experience, then you have to have a very clear short-term or long-term strategy. So maybe shed some light from your experience. How do you actually create that plan or strategy to make this work?
Okay, thank you for that question. And for us, one of the things is in customer experience, at the end of the day, what we're looking for is a student who has managed to achieve their objectives. So what we have done is we have asked ourselves questions and said, how can we use certain type of data to make sure that the student comes out as we visualized at the end, where they graduate, where they have the skill, And some of the things that we have put in are simple things to say, on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, we are in touch with this customer. How can we collect the relevant data that will make them not drop out? And some of the things are as simple as just measuring NPS. The NPS is not even just for their experience alone, but it's how they've interacted with the platform itself, how they've interacted with the instructor, and if they're coming into our space, even the environment. We've also then looked at in terms of what they are learning. Is it difficult or not? Are they likely to drop out? We actually put in place now mechanisms that track their productivity. Are they attending class? And at a certain point, you can tell that at 60%, when others are at 90% progress, it means you have to now put in an intervention. You don't wait for that gap to be that big. You actually look at it at a weekly basis, and you're able to use that data to pinpoint the right students to approach and make sure that you are giving them the relevant feedback. So it's important to look at what you have put as your objectives, and then what data you will use to design the strategies or tactics that you need for success for both the customer and also the business.
Very interesting insight. I'm happy that you're actually showcasing how you can actually build customer experience from an institution. Jonah, moving towards the practicality of technologies. I know people speak about data, but data is very broad. There is data science, AI, machine learning, all those different facets of data. Maybe make it practical. What aspects of data really support this conversation on customer experience?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that.
Your mic is off. I think it's on now.
Thank you. Thank you for that question. When we come to the technological perspective of things, we are seeing a shift from just the traditional data collection and how you're going to make use of that data. There are aspects nowadays about when you talk about augmented reality, XR, VR, and such. When you talk about AI, when you talk about predictive analysis, today's customer, and of course the end customer, speaking from a provider perspective, wants you to be able to know what they want before they know it. We have seen the likes of Netflix, the likes of e-commerce platforms being able actually to bundle up products. That's what the customer needs. And we are looking at their behavioral analytics. Again, how, when, and where are they spending, and why are they spending? What is the psychometric evaluations that they are using to actually make this decision? So in a technical perspective, we are bringing on those aspects, and I thank God we're in this age where you're talking about AI, and we're talking about basically big possibilities on what we can be able to do with our data, just to make sure that we serve our customers to the level that they expect us to do.
Oh, you throw in some very interesting aspects. I remember trying some of them in different use cases, psychometric scoring. Just try to find out how do you understand the customer's psyche. But I know most of the audience here, every member here is trying to pick out, what do I take back home and start doing with regards to customer experience and data analytics? So maybe Becky, just share some tips. You have so much data. If you look at our devices, our systems, we generate a lot of data. How can you differentiate between relevant and irrelevant data for customer experience? Will you ask everyone to go and analyze everything? Will you get value from attacking the mass? Or can you be more specific, and how do you do it?
That's an interesting question, and it's one of those things that we normally grapple with whenever a customer comes in. They're like, I need to use this to my advantage. I need to understand what my customers need. And you ask, what kind of data are you collecting? And there's lots of data. My advice is, when you're looking at trying to understand what customer data do you need, it's not about the traditional KYC where you'd have a person's name, their age, and all those things. You can be collecting all these kinds of information about a customer, but is it relevant to the product, to the use case, to your business? So you need to be able to know when you have relevant data and when you don't. And how do you do that? Look at what you're offering this customer. I like that he mentioned Netflix. For example, the data that Netflix collects, of course, they have your name and last name. But how do they use the additional data that they have about you other than your name? They don't need your name. They just need to know what actually are you watching, and can they attribute it with your interest so that they're able to recommend that information. When they collect, if everyone here is actually watching something and they put that information together, then they are able to know these kinds of shows can actually drive a higher traffic to particular viewership of a particular show. This one is definitely not going to be a hit. So you need to be able to understand the kind of data that you're collecting, the kind of product that you have. Which customers do you need to pull in for them to be able to sign up to your product? And what are those specific metrics that you need to pick out to be able to get the right information? Otherwise, you'll just be collecting a lot of information that is really not going to drive you to the point that you're looking for to be able to understand your customers. And a point closer to home is anytime you go to a bank, and I'm your customer. So anytime you go to a bank, and I know Hadnel is going to be, why are you not in Absa?
I'm very mad, but anyway,
Don't be. I'm coming to see you next week.
forget about it. Yeah.
Anytime you go to a bank, you're given a form, and that form has a lot of information. Fast forward, you go back to reset your PIN. What do? You're filling in the same form all over again. Fast forward, you need a loan. Same form, but now bring your payslip and everything else. Yet you have an ATM card that still has all those things. Now, do we understand our customer touch points from a financial perspective? We can be able to actually know where these people shop, their purchasing power, where it is. So we're able to curate products and services that can actually speak to this person. Some of us opened these bank accounts when we were 18. But life has happened. We've changed. People have families now, which means our spending has even gone higher. The products we want to get are different. So are we actually picking out the relevant things that we need based on the products that we have to be able to serve our customers better? So I think that's how we can be able to separate when we have relevant and irrelevant data. Let's understand the objective of why we are collecting this data and what exactly do we need, so that we don't spend time collecting data that we don't need, that won't help you get to your customer.
Okay. And someone told me all data is necessary, but only some of it is useful. Now, moving towards the guardrails on how we use data for all this discussion about customer experience. Carla, we can move to you. We have had the DPA Act in place, whereby we're talking about privacy. Now, this year, I'm seeing more of governance and data management roles being advertised left, right, and center. I think we all know that you're supposed to follow privacy laws and all that, but let's make it practical. How do we make sure that we are properly creating policies and procedures that are going to tick off the boxes of data management, data governance, and data privacy as we do all this customer experience work?
Thank you. My take on that is that, you see, currently, for you to be on the right side of the law, you must first understand the law and the principles that govern data privacy. And then from there, you can put in initiatives to ensure that you improve to the level where you are compliant. Because you are moving from a level where there was no much regulation and awareness around data protection and privacy to a point where if you are not compliant, you can be penalized up to even 4% of your turnover. So it means you need to be cognizant of what the regulation is all about and how it protects the customer and the principles that govern. For example, data minimization. If I'm sending money to you, for example, why should my phone number appear in full in your message? So those are some of the questions that are there. So data minimization, storage limitation, how long do I stay with your data? So if as an organization you understand the governing principles, then you can put in measures. And those are some of the challenges now organizations are having to deal with today, because you have to ensure that in terms of system security, accuracy of your data, you ensure that you are fully compliant. So I would say For starters, understand the regulation. And then number two, put in measures that will help you to be compliant, including making your customers aware of the use, how you're using their data. And of course, clean up where you have unclean data, because that's a big issue. Data security is very big for technology because, as you know, for like financial organizations, 97% across board transactions happen on the digital. So a lot of financial information for customers are on the digital. So you can imagine what would happen if that information got into the wrong hands. So it's very important to understand the regulation and put in the measures that will help you to move towards more compliance. Thank you.
Yeah, very interesting insights there. I think we can never downplay the role of governance and policy compliance. I remember someone told me that in the last few years, the best friend of a data scientist was the data engineer. But going forward, the best friend of a data scientist is going to be a data quality analyst. So interesting insight there. So,
and maybe just to add, you see, for big organization, it's recommended that you have a data protection officer within your organization to guide the organization. And of course, a department that deals with data governance, because at the end of the day, you can employ a technology, but the techie guy will be looking at providing the solution. But the data governance guy will tell you where you're not compliant and what you need to do to safeguard the data. Thank you.
Excellent. I just followed a friend of mine who runs a startup and started asking myself, okay, I'm happy that we don't have big companies in the room only. So maybe let's discuss about that. Melanie, how do small companies and startups do this? This customer experience conversation should not exclude them. How do they make sure that with the limited staff capacity that they have, they're still able to deliver meaningful experiences using data?
Yes, for small organizations, it's important that they start also building on data collection. I know for small organizations, they might not have the capacity to quickly implement things like data privacy and stuff like that. So what usually happens is your data is collected, yes, but as a small organization, what you can do is you can start just informing your employees why they should make sure that they safeguard the data that they've collected, and also make sure that you demonstrate, maybe as the business lead, how to use that data for your employees. For example, customers who walk in shops, most people want to do raffles because they want to collect your name, your mobile number, your email. But no one tells you that after this raffle, we are going to use your email that you gave us to sometimes bombard you with a lot of offers, promotions, products, maybe send you diaper, information, and you're not even thinking about diapers. So you find that small entities want to be in this space, but there's a way that they have to also just start looking at, are we making sure that the customer understands why we're collecting their data. And then when they collect it, they make sure that they just use it for customer experience. If they wanted it for, just to give key information, they must then inform the customer and make sure that it's just that key information that they are sending. If they change policy, it's also good to ask the customer, can we additionally, send you our newsletter? Things like that. So they can start small, but make sure that they have they safeguard the information.
And I think it's important because if you look at the startup world, and I can tell you with the changing of generations, most of the people who are coming out of school right now want to run their own businesses. But for you to actually achieve scale, make sure that you have sticky customers, make sure you deliver meaningful experiences, then you really have to have some of these foundational aspects in place. We'll never close any pie without talking about AI. So, Jonah, make us proud. How is AI benefiting customer experience in the data world?
Thank you. AI is it's a big animal that I don't think any of us still understands. It's still in the process. I don't think we have the best trained model yet. We have DeepSeek, we have the Geminis and Visual and such. The big question comes in is who has your data and what they're doing with it? We have seen AI predict different aspects into it that if I'm going to, for example, the scenario that was given by my panelist, my co-panelist, I'm opening an account and I drop off at some point. Are we going ahead to actually go and figure out why did this customer drop off? I'm doing a loan requisition, I'm onboarding in a platform. Are we able to go and even analyze? Again, AI is actually very fast to even actually make some of these decisions or even guide us in making informed decisions on what is the competition doing, what am I supposed to be doing for a specific customer. I like most of the banking world, basically let's say the BFSI world, what they are doing with data because it's becoming now personalized. To say that actually what you're pushing to me, don't just tell me we have this product and push at a bulk. AI can actually be able to very fast go ahead and give you beyond that's just the standard KYC and the standard inventory info that I have of customer Jonah, but now start to look into my analytics. Again, all these apps that we have in our phones, they are collecting so much data, a lot of data. And somebody has it somewhere. It's just a matter of how are we going to utilize that to serve our customers. I'm talking about predictive. I'm talking about aspects to do, of course, with engagement. How is a customer going to touch base with you? You've rightly mentioned of the young population. They don't want to go and do any of these things. They actually just want to sit tight and actually get any service that they want from the comfort of their homes. Again, they have all the connectivity that they need. It's actually those aspects that you can be able to actually push more product to the customer as needed. Again, riding on these tools. We have AI, we have augmented reality. Again, I mentioned of scenario I can actually engage with a financial institution or even an insurance firm just directly from my device, just doing VR, for example. So there are quite a number of use cases that we can be able to explore. We are not even there yet, but we need to keep on building the discussion and building the use cases, especially one that fits our markets.
Thank you so much, Jonah. So we'll just have our final remarks. Then we can take 1 or 2 questions or 3. So Becky, what should be the key takeaway or your summing up statement with regards to this topic today?
My signing off point is going to be make data your friend, even for smaller companies or startups. In fact, you are the ones that are going to gain a bigger advantage from both an investment perspective and a customer experience perspective, because you're starting from a low investment compared to the big company. So the more we use data for the good and for the customer, the better outcomes we are going to get both for the business and the customer that we are trying to serve. So if we are able to leverage data for good, it can actually do a lot of good.
Thank you. Caleb?
Thank you. So for me, data is everything. So if you couple that with the right technologies and the right analytics, then you can be able to prescribe innovative enhancements on the customer experience that you offer your customers. And that will be very key to take your business to the next level. So let's leverage on data. Let's harness the power of data. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Melanie?
Just to say, as entities, let's invest in tools that help us leverage data. Even if you're an SME, start with a CRM, use it and start building capacity early. Don't try to go and get the big tools. Start small with a small CRM. And by the time you're done, you find that you'll be able to give your customers the best experience. Personalization is very important in this market now. No one wants general stuff at the moment. Yeah, so I would say start small and build up.
Excellent. Jonah?
I'll just give a quote. It says, data is no longer optional. It's a necessity for success. And there's also a loose saying that we say, without data, you're just another person with an opinion. So make sure that you get the data so that you just don't have an opinion. You better have data-driven decisions. And again, on my day job, we're actually doing a whole lot with data, and we can be able to assist you. So talk to Eclectics. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jonah. We will take any question from the audience. I usually like when people don't have questions because it means you have understood everything. Any burning question? With that, please join me to thank the esteemed panelists by clapping for them as they majestically walk off the stage. Thank you so much for your time. It has been a pleasure moderating this panel. I think we'll just take one photo, then we can be off.